Hello everybody and welcome to my video on diagnosing and repairing e-brake problems on the Dodge Dart. This is a 2014 SE model, but I believe they're all the same. Very quick overview of the system first. Coming inside here, I have my center console removed. There's YouTube videos out there on how to do that. The e-brake lever runs down and connects to two cables, one for the left and right side. Right now it's released. When you pull it, the cables tighten and the mechanism in the back moves. If there's a lot of slack here, you might just need to tighten this up. In the back, this is your e-brake cable. You got one on both sides running down to this mechanism. As you pull and release your e-brake, this part here should be moving up and down, but a lot of the time they'll get seized. And the way to repair it is to pull the caliper off and clean up everything that's in there. That's what we're going to be doing today. Alrighty, everybody, I'm just back here at the wheel assembly. You take your tire off, and then you can remove the two caliper bolts as well. I've also gone ahead and removed the spring, which sits in here. It takes a bit of brute force to get it, but if you just kind of pry at it with a screwdriver or some sort of prying device, it'll come off. The next thing you'll want to do is you need to remove this e-brake cable. Mine's already loose, but I'll just show you how it comes out. So there's two tabs, one here and one on the other side. Easiest job with two people. One person pushes in both of the tabs and the other person will grab the cable and pop it out. Then once it's out, you want to bring it down and just lift it around. I know my stuff is in pretty rough shape and it's out. So you'll be left with this. So you just need to disconnect the brake line. It is a 9/16. Flare nut wrench works the best, just because you really don't want to strip it, but you can use a crescent one as well, and it's just a standard thread. So you just go in and remove it. Once you do remove it, it's going to start leaking brake fluid out all over the place, so you can just take the cable and just tuck it up somewhere high so that gravity stops it from falling out. After doing that, you can take the caliper and bring it over to the bench. Alright, here we are at the bench, and this is my caliper. I've already actually loosened everything and taken it apart, so mine will be coming off really easily, but if you're having problems, then a lot of things are probably going to be stuck together. So I got it flipped over. I'm going to remove this nut, and then I need to pull this plate off. It is actually press fit, so if you have some sort of puller, that can help. If you're planning on replacing all the seals and stuff, then you might be able to get away with just prying it off. So this piece comes off. Then we have a dust cover. And mine is just looking horrible there. Remove the small bolt. And this plate comes off as well. That's all you can do on this side. Now we're going to flip it over. Alright, so on this side, starting with the piston, we are going to have to remove it. You can either do it with the special piston cube tool, or what I find works just as well is a 19mm wrench. Fits in the teeth right there, and you're just going to unscrew it like you would anything. So it's not especially easy to come out, but we should be able to get it. There it goes. All right. Good, so that came out completely. So now you will be able to just slide down the dust cover like that, and you can pull the piston right out. Here's what it looks like. Put that away to the side, and then we're gonna have to pull off this dust cover here. There is one retaining clip, and it's kind of hard to see, but it is just in here around the edge. So you're gonna need to have some sort of tool, and you're gonna have to pry it out. If you're not replacing the boots, then just be careful not to damage them. Let's see what I can do. There it goes. So hopefully you can see that. And I'll just take the clip, pull out the metal ring, and then the boot just comes off as well. So now when we look inside, we see, sorry my light is very bright, we see this in here. And everything looks pretty good, but we will need a pair of snap ring pliers to get in here. And this is where these guys come in handy. So it's a 90-degree snap ring. I think it's a 50 millimeter or something. You can probably get away with not having one to get it out, but I really don't think you can put it back together without one of these. So let's see what we can do. All right, so we're gonna wanna go in with our snap ring, pliers, grab the piece, and bring it out. So here's what it looks like. And you can see that when you grab it with a snap ring, it just condenses enough so you can get it out of the grooves. So now everything's gonna start coming out. And I'll just pull them out with these little pliers. Alright. So we got this assembly first, which is a cap, a spring, and then this piece. Next inside, we will have a washer, and I'm just going to dump it out. We have a washer, then there will be a bearing, and now we should be looking like this. So the piece that was causing you a problem is this guy right here, and it is seized. So what you're going to want to do is, now that everything is out from the inside, you can tap it. Be careful if you want to thread this back on before you hit it, because you might not be able to get it off again afterwards. I'd recommend just hitting it with a rubber mallet or maybe with a piece of wood, but since I know mine's loose, I'm just going to tap it with a hammer. And mine came out real nice. So now you get a few things. Some parts might be stuck in there, so you want to make sure that they all come out. What I got so far is the main bolt, and then this plastic washer with some ball bearings in it. But inside, there is still a few more pieces. So we have 2 more things. We got this cap, and then there is a O-ring at the bottom. And that's it. So that's everything. If you look inside your caliper, it should be empty now. There's one more seal around the edge here. Sorry. It's just this black rubber seal here. If you're going to be replacing it, then now would be the time to replace it as well. I'm not changing mine. Alright, the next thing you're going to do is you got to clean some stuff off before you start putting them back together. So chances are there's going to be a lot of corrosion around here, so you can brush it down with some ebrake cloth or a wire brush. Make sure that's nice and clean, and then you'll want to clean down this hole as well. As you can see, it's a nice brass colored fitting, so make sure you get all the crud. Make sure you get all the crud out from in here as well. My caliper, the corrosion is so bad that you can see it's actually just eating away at the metal here. So this should actually be replaced. But I'll put it back together anyways, just so that you guys see how it goes. Then what you're going to want to do is make sure you just put a whole lot of grease on there as well, so that it goes back in nicely. And we're going to start putting everything back together. So on this guy here, we have this piece, and you're just going to make sure that you keep everything in its original orientation. And then of course the O-ring as well. So we got this. This is going to go back in first. And hopefully we can get a little lucky. There we go. So now that it's in and it's clean, you should be able to slide it freely. You'll feel it move up and down because of the ball bearings in there, but really no resistance from it at this point. Okay, next up, you're gonna want to set it back down. Drop in the bearing, followed by the washer. This guy's next, and it's keyed, so it will only fit in one way. And then the spring. And then this retaining clip. Okay, so we're at the point where we need to put the snap ring back on. Again, I don't think it's possible without the right pliers, but hey, if you guys can do it, just let me know. That'd be pretty cool. So the way I find is easiest to do this is you can either have a helper to do it with you, or you can do it by yourself with a little bit more effort. So just hook up the snap ring first, get that ready, and then I use a 16mm socket and an extension, and I'm just gonna push down on the spring and the housing while I try and get the snap ring into place. So I'm gonna push down in here, and the snap ring will go on at the same time. And hopefully I get it done. There we go. It actually seated in nicely. First try. I'm just gonna push it around with a screwdriver a little bit just to make sure that it's really in there nice and good. Don't want this coming out. Good. Looks like it's in there. Okay, so before we put the boot back in, we're actually going to drop the piston in first this time. Swap that off. So we can screw it in the same way using a wrench. Now once it's about here, so not fully in, now we're going to stretch the inside of the boot just over the head of the piston here. So it just looks like this. There we go. And now we'll continue tightening it. So it's all the way in now. Good, that's as far as it goes. So now we're just going to take the boot and tuck it in around the edges. There we go. Okay, just this clip left. Just be careful not to damage the boot, but you can just kind of slide it in. One piece at a time. There we go. And then you'll want to use a small screwdriver or something to just make sure that it's really seated all the way around. Okay, take the caliper, flip it over, install this plate, the screw. Now, in order to line this up correctly, make sure that the piston was tightened completely all the way down. And what you'll want to do is, if you have it orientated like this, you'll want to first put the dust cover on. All right, so you'll have this orientated like this, and you'll want to slide it on so that this edge here is touching this post. Somewhere like that. And then you can get a socket, and then we'll just tap it on. And that should fit it. Next, you'll get this screw, tighten this guy back up, and from there, you're pretty much done. You can watch another YouTube video on how to install a caliper and how to bleed your brakes, but any issues you were having with your ebrake should be solved. Thanks.